The year is 1944. The world is burning. Across the ocean, young men fight in muddy trenches and skies filled with smoke. At home, families pray their sons return, while the land they live on grows colder, hungrier, and more dangerous than ever before. This is where the story of the Duttons begins, not in peace, not in comfort, but in the shadow of war, where survival itself is the only law. The screen fades from black, and the sound of distant thunder rolls across empty plains. But it is not thunder. It is the echo of war, traveling thousands of miles, carried on the fear and silence of a nation holding its breath. America is in the middle of its greatest test, fighting a war that stretches from Europe to the Pacific. While soldiers bleed on foreign soil, the people at home fight a war of their own, a war against hunger, against loss, against the fear that everything they love might disappear. Montana, 1944. Wide open land, winds cutting through the valley, and a ranch that will one day be called the most powerful in the West. But for now, it is only dirt, sweat, and hope. The Duttons, a family tied to the land in ways deeper than blood, carry scars that few can see. Their young men march off to war. Their women keep the ranch alive with tired hands. Every sunrise feels like a gamble. Every sunset feels like a warning. In this world, nothing is safe. The ranch is surrounded by threats that wear many faces. Some threats ride in from the horizon with hungry eyes and sharper guns. Some live in the shadows of the very town where the Duttons trade, waiting for a chance to take what isn't theirs. And some come from the weight of war itself, the draft, the rationing, the silence of letters that never arrive. The Duttons are not rich. They are not untouchable. They are only human, bound by duty to the land their ancestors claimed. But the land has a memory. It remembers every drop of sweat, every drop of blood spilled to hold it. And it demands more. For every inch they defend, the Duttons must pay a price. A price in loyalty, a price in sacrifice, a price in blood. The year 1944 is not a story of victory or peace. It is a story of survival, of men and women who face storms both natural and human. It is the story of a family standing on the edge of history, caught between a war across the sea and a war in their own backyard. The fire of Yellowstone begins here, in a time when even the strongest could be broken, and even the most loyal could be betrayed. This is not just the beginning of a family. This is the beginning of a legend. The land looks endless, but it feels smaller every day. The war takes not only the sons of Montana but also the spirit of its people. The towns grow quiet, the shops run short on supplies, and every face carries the same shadow of fear. In the middle of this silence, the Dutton Ranch becomes a place of heavy burden. With fewer men to ride, fewer hands to mend fences, every task becomes harder, every mistake more costly. A single broken wagon wheel can mean weeks of trouble. A single lost calf can mean hunger come winter. Survival is no longer about pride. It is about holding on with teeth and nails, against all odds. For the Duttons, the family bond is tested with each passing day. John Dutton Sr., a man hardened by years of loss, rises before the sun and works until the last light fades. His eyes see both the land and the future, but behind them lies a storm of fear that his sons may not return. Fear that the ranch will crumble without them. Fear that his name will be carried away by the wind. His wife Eleanor carries her own battles. Every letter from the army feels like a heartbeat in her chest, and every letter that never comes feels like a knife. She holds the ranch together with quiet strength, her hands cracked and tired, her prayers whispered at night into the cold air. The children are caught between worlds, too young to fight, too old to be spared. They take on duties that should belong to grown men. Their shoulders ache under the weight of tasks meant for stronger backs, but they do not complain. They know the land will not wait, the cattle will not wait, the river will not wait. In 1944, time is a cruel master, and mercy is nowhere to be found. Beyond the ranch, new enemies wait in the darkness. With men away at war, law and order stretch thin across the West. Bandits drift into Montana, drawn by the promise of unattended land and unguarded riches. They come with smiles, they come with lies, and when those fail, they come with guns. Some are outsiders, some are neighbors. All of them want what the Duttons have: land, water, and the chance to claim it as their own. The Duttons know that not all battles are fought on foreign soil. Some battles are fought right here, in their backyard, with no medals, no parades, and no gloriously graves. The sky over Montana mirrors the world's pain. Storms roll heavy, lightning cutting across wide plains, rain turning the soil into rivers of mud. Each storm feels like a warning, a reminder that nature itself is an enemy no one can tame. Yet through it all, the Duttons stand their ground. Their bond to the land is not just about cattle or fences. It is about legacy. It is about the promise that this ranch will remain long after they are gone. But promises demand sacrifice. Every decision becomes a test. Who will they trust? What will they give up to hold the ranch together? And how much blood will the land ask for this time? In 1944, there are no easy answers. There is only the fight to endure, to breathe one more day, to keep the name alive. And for the Duttons, that fight is just beginning. The war overseas begins to seep into the soil of Montana. Not through bombs or soldiers, but through whispers and desperation. Letters stop coming for some families, and in those houses, curtains stay drawn and voices stay low. Grief travels like a sickness, moving from one home to the next. And with every funeral bell that tolls in town, the weight of absence grows heavier. For the Duttons, each letter opened is a coin toss: life on one side, death on the other. Hope becomes fragile, a candle flame that can be blown out with a single gust of wind. But it is not only war that threatens them. In the distance, another storm is gathering, this one made of greed, betrayal, and men who see opportunity in weakness. With so many gone, the land of Montana is like an unguarded treasure chest, and vultures circle above it. Some wear suits, holding contracts and promises written in ink. Others wear dust-stained coats, holding rifles and grins. Both kinds are dangerous. And both kinds want what the Duttons have. The betrayal comes not from strangers but from those once called allies. A neighbor who once shared bread at the Dutton table now sharpens his knife behind closed doors. He tells himself it is survival, that his family comes first. But survival is the excuse of thieves. And when he comes to claim what is not his, he does not come alone. With him ride men who believe blood is cheaper than law. Men who believe the war far away gives them the right to make war at home. The land begins to echo with gunfire again. Not from Europe or the Pacific, but from the valleys of Montana. Night becomes dangerous. Lanterns are blown out early. Children are told to stay quiet when hooves thunder in the dark. For the Duttons, every ride into town carries risk. Every handshake hides a knife. And every word spoken could become the spark of a feud that will not end until one side is buried. But betrayal does not only live outside the ranch, it seeps into hearts. War changes men, even those who return. Some Dutton sons come back with medals but leave pieces of themselves behind on foreign soil. Their eyes are different. Their hands shake when they touch a rifle. They drink more. They sleep less. And the ranch that once felt like home now feels like a prison of memories they cannot escape. Their silence becomes heavy, their tempers short, their loyalty questioned. For the family, the hardest battle is not against outsiders, but against the shadows within their own blood. The women of the ranch hold the line, but even their strength begins to crack. Eleanor hides her tears from her children, but her body grows weaker, worn down by endless work and sleepless nights. Each morning, she forces herself to stand tall, because if she bends, the whole family might break. Yet in her eyes is a secret she cannot speak aloud, fear that the cost of survival will be more than the family can pay. In 1944, enemies do not always wear uniforms. Some wear familiar faces, some carry the same name, and when trust breaks, it is louder than any war, sharper than any blade. The Duttons learn quickly that betrayal is not a single act. It is a disease that spreads, that poisons every bond, that turns friends into foes, and family into strangers. And once it begins, there is no turning back. The night sky over Yellowstone grows darker, filled with smoke from barns set ablaze, with the silence of land too scarred to heal. Every betrayal leaves a mark, carved into both soil and soul. The Duttons are no longer just fighting for land. They are fighting for their very identity, for the right to exist in a world that wants to erase them. And as the year drags on, one truth becomes clear. Before there can be legacy, there must be survival. And survival demands blood. The winter of 1944 arrives like a blade. The winds howl through the valley, cutting colder than any war across the sea. Snow buries the fences, freezes the rivers, and turns the ranch into a prison of ice. For the Duttons, every morning becomes a battle against nature itself. The cattle grow thin, the horses stumble, and food runs low. But it is not only the winter that comes for them. The enemies who once circled now close in, hungrier and bolder, certain that the family is too weak to stand. They come under cover of night, striking with fire and iron, leaving behind the smoke of burning barns and the cries of frightened children. What was once home becomes a battlefield, and the line between war abroad and war at home vanishes in the snow. In the heart of this chaos, the Duttons face choices that will define not only their lives, but the bloodline that follows. John Dutton Sr. stands in the snow with rifle in hand, his breath sharp in the freezing air. his eyes fixed not just on his enemies but on the generations yet unborn. He knows the land demands loyalty, and loyalty demands sacrifice. Eleanor, weary but unbroken, holds her family together with threads of faith, whispering prayers into the dark as the world around her cracks. The children, forced to grow before their time, grip weapons with hands that once held toys, their innocence stolen by a war they never chose. Each face tells a story of loss, but also a fire that will not be put out. No matter how deep the snow falls, the betrayals of the past year weigh heavy, and the graves on the hill grow more numerous, marked by simple wooden crosses that bend under the wind. Yet even as death surrounds them, the Duttons refuse to surrender. They ride into storms with eyes unblinking. They face enemies who would rather see them broken and buried. They bleed into the soil, and the soil drinks every drop, binding them to it forever. For every barn that burns, they build again. For every family member lost, they stand stronger for the ones who remain. This is not survival, it is defiance. A refusal to bow to war, to winter, or to man. But defiance has its cost. The final days of 1944 bring the heaviest blow yet. A fire lights up the night sky, brighter than any sunrise, as the Duttons watch their ranch consumed by flames. Screams mix with the roar of the blaze, and the sound of gunfire echoes across the valley. In that moment, the land itself feels alive, demanding blood, demanding sacrifice. And in that moment, the Dutton legacy is born not from peace, not from plenty, but from ashes. What rises from the smoke is not weakness, but a vow. A vow that this family will endure, no matter the storm, no matter the enemy, no matter the cost. When the smoke clears and the snow falls again, what remains is not just a ranch, but a promise carved into the earth. A promise that this land, this Yellowstone, will belong to the Duttons for as long as blood runs in their veins. The war may rage on across the sea, the enemies may come and go, but the Duttons will remain, and the land will remember them, as it remembers every drop of blood that keeps it alive. Before Yellowstone was paradise, it was war. Before it was legacy, it was sacrifice. And before it was a home, it was a battlefield. This is where the story begins. This is where the legend is born. This is 1944.